Beers and Banter, episode 13, NRL and Origin, AFL, US Open and much, much more. Juniors Jaffers back in the winner's circle. Hit it, Timmy. Let's get into it.
Big Red.
Welcome back.
How are you, mate?
Bit of Monday-itis, but it's subsiding. Always look forward to the pod on a Monday night. Obviously, we've got our tech man back too. Timmy, welcome back, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Have you got a note for last week?
I emailed you.
Doctor's certificate?
I did do that. Didn't you get it? I'll check. Could be in your junk mail.
Hey.
Check that.
Might be still in the outbox somewhere.
Maybe I didn't hit send.
Yeah. That old chestnut.
We're docking your pay.
0.
We're still in the negatives. Haven't sent the bill yet.
When we get paid, you're getting your first one docked, all right?
How are you, mate?
Bloody good. Yeah,
good.
Feeling good, actually.
Glad you are.
All those that know me know I've been in a bit of a funk for the last couple of weeks, but I think I'm coming out the other side, so it should be good.
You're on the home run.
Yeah. Big weekend.
Was, mate, for me, yeah.
You
I was
had a doozy.
over camping. Over at Moreton Island for 4 days, so
How's your beer?
it's nearly empty again.
You all right? You want one?
I've heard that about 48 times in the last 4 days, so we may as well go one more. Yeah, mate, so I must admit it was the little bit of sport that I did catch up on was over an iPhone with very limited reception, so but we'll cover off on that. We'll get into it.
I try to keep track. Normally you're the golf man. I try to watch a bit of golf. Even had Fraser sitting in front of the TV this morning, so he could give me a bit of a rundown of what went on today.
Yeah, the golf wrapped up this morning, so I managed to watch the last round, which was good. But I watched a little bit of footy and a little bit of the World Cup cricket actually over there. So
where do you want to start this week?
I think we probably Origin week. There's no better time to start than the Origin teams getting named last night.
Is there anything better than Queensland minimal changes? Blues, wholesale changes. So our team should have just flown into Perth today, back on the beers, maybe a bit of a ball session, maybe Wednesday, domination Sunday, going to Sydney for a dead rubber.
Yeah, I mean, the Queensland team, 2 forced changes through injury, but obviously not superstars of the team. Arrow and Offengowie.
Let's have a look.
But the New South Wales team for me, Fittler's gone and racked up the changes after saying previously that he's a pick and stick type coach. So
the underlying tones that I see there is that I think Mitchell must have been a problem in camp, game one. Do you reckon he was disruptive, or there's something going on there that we actually haven't heard, but he just wasn't good for the team?
He's definitely been out of form, but
played all right yesterday, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, out of form for him is still pretty good. I think there was definitely an issue because he disappeared after the game, didn't go back to Sydney.
Yeah.
Straight after the game up here in Queensland.
Well, the story was that was all arranged.
Went and spent some time with family, so and his form the last 6 weeks definitely hasn't been up to what he.
Hang on, do you want to go Blues or Queensland first?
Oh, we can start with Queensland.
Yeah, right.
What do we got? Very similar, all bar.
It looks good to me. I'm pretty happy with that back line. Dylan Napa gets promoted, big puppy. He's run on. Ben Hunt looking good in the number 9. Josh Papali, Felice Kafusi, Matt Gillette, Maguire, Moses Mbai. Hopefully we see a bit more of him this game. Jared Wallace has got a call up. Tim Glasby call up. And I'm not familiar with Christian Welch. I don't know. Where does he come in? Do you know?
Number 18.
Yeah, righto. And Corey Norman obviously covering off any injuries in the halves this week.
It's obviously a very similar side. I thought Napa was good in game 1. So good to see him come into the run-on side. It's pretty much settled.
And do you like this standalone weekend for the rep footy?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's it's good to see all the different nations play their internationals. And I think the women's State of Origin kicks it off on Friday night. So
I'll tell you what, the bloody the NRL becomes a lottery for tipping during this time of the year. So I don't mind this standalone. Let those nations play their footy. Seabold has quickly found out what coaching Brisbane is all about. He's got 12 players that have departed on rep duty. His comments in the post-match press conference were that they all took their rep bags to Sydney with them. So I think he was a little bit salty about that, and basically he thinks they already had their head in representative camp, and that's why the Broncos got dusted up on the weekend.
Just quickly while we're on the Queensland team, I did tell you we had a bit of feedback from a loyal listener, Big Matty Broogie, pointed out, and you must have mentioned back before game one,
yeah,
that you would have liked to see Munster in the centres.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's sent in a message and said you're an absolute goose for thinking that. He should be in the halves all day, every day. So
tell him to
bit of feedback from one of them.
Tell him to never bother contacting the show again.
No, that's good feedback.
That's good. I like
we need more of that.
Yeah.
Bit of feedback from one of the loyal listeners.
Tell him to do it
Big
on
Broogie.
Can he do that on one of the socials for us?
Yeah, if you can slag him out, on either Facebook
And include
Instagram.
at Matt Burrell.
Yeah.
What we're going to try and do when I get the shows up in time on a Monday night is I'm happy to take questions or engage with anybody during the first viewing of the video. So
I must admit, I do agree with him. I think Munster's a number 6 for Queensland all day, every day.
great organiser. I did see Game 3 last year, and I had people texting me going, "Oh, geez, Munster's not going real good." And I'm like, no. When you see him live and you can see what he's doing off camera, organising that team, he definitely is a half. I just, when I made that comment, I just thought he's just as exciting in the centres, and it would have, I can't remember what I was thinking there, Morgan to the bench, I think it was. I would play Morgan in a utility over him and by probably. I still stick by that. But team looks good. And
I watched a bit of the Manly game yesterday. DCE looked very good yesterday, so he's in form, ready to go for Sunday night.
What about the Bluesers? Should we have a look at them?
Well, that's where all the changes are, so we'll dial in on that and have a bit of a look.
I think the bloke who's been the toughest sort of copped it here is Josh Morris. Solid game one, and they've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. He's been dumped. I really like the idea that we're up against. Is it so? I should know this after like 30 years of watching rugby league. So 2 and 3 line up together and 4 and 5 line up together. Is that how it works? I used to play wing.
So Ferguson's obviously in. Trebojevic is in.
Are they playing together? So what I mean is Blake and Tom. Should have meant to look this up before I started, but essentially you got 2 blokes that aren't centres playing centre in an Origin against 2 guns. And then you got the only one that really concerns me in that back line is Adokara. Tedesco's not bad too, I suppose. But
Ferguson, Trebojevic are 2 big ins.
So the point I'm trying to make, 2 new defensive combinations.
Yeah, it is, but I think Ferguson's been there before and done a good job for New South Wales.
Trebojevic doesn't play centre, plays fullback.
He could probably play anywhere. He's that good.
Yeah, but it's different. Defending at centre is different. So I reckon you'll see him targeted on Sunday night with a few set plays. You heard it here first, Boogie. You like that? You go down, Nathan Cleary, very lucky to still be in that side. Walker.
Yeah, I disagree a bit there. I think Maloney and Cleary, their combination at Penrith, from all reports, Mitchell Pearce was going to be picked at 6 until basically the 11th hour when he was ruled out with injury. But I think Maloney just, excuse me, I think Maloney just breeds success wherever he goes. Any club he's been to, the little bit of Origin he's played, I think he's one of those guys you want to have in your team.
Him and Ben Hunt can have a boot throwing competition at half time or something.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Damien Cook, he's going to be dangerous as always. Boyd Cordner.
And Tarek Sims into the side. He's a big bopper, and I think his sort of game suits Origin. So.
What about Wade Graham? 2 games after 18 months on the sidelines, back in the side. Certainly dangerous, but I'm hoping the Origin pace is just too much for him.
Yeah.
They reckon he's as fit as ever, though.
Probably a bit of a surprise. Well, I know he's been back in heavy training for quite some time. And they say that the guys down at the club say that he's as fit as he's ever been from all the rehab. So he's obviously got experience and performed on that stage before, so I'm sure he'll fit in all right.
I think Freddie's under enormous pressure.
I've got to say, and I'm fairly biased Queensland, but I think New South Wales have picked a better side this time round than game one.
Probably. This guy, Tedesco, can absolutely just change a whole game. If you've got Cook pushing up on him a little bit better, that'll you're gonna be dangerous up the middle. But I think their centres are not. I'd be a lot more worried if that was Latrell and Morris. I think they went backwards there, in my opinion.
Time will tell.
Anyway, that's enough.
This
about
time
those
next
guys.
week we'll know.
What do you think of the Sunday night game?
I don't mind it, to be fair. I think, the hardest thing has always been with Origin is the late start, the 8 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
They obviously want kids to get into the game and follow the game, but 8 o'clock on a weeknight or a Sunday night with school the next day makes it hard.
No holiday either.
No holiday. I would have liked to see if it was a Sunday game, maybe like a 4-5 o'clock game.
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon game. Probably hard in Perth because it'll be a 2 o'clock kickoff, but
So what time will it kick off in Perth?
I think it'll be a 6 o'clock kickoff.
So it's still going to be 8 o'clock. Surely not on a Sunday night.
I think it's on 8 o'clock Sunday night. Well, what's different Sunday night to a Wednesday night?
That's woeful.
But yeah, I guess that Sunday afternoon everyone can have a barbecue and a few beers and lead into Origin. You're not.
But that's the
racing
problem.
home from
You sort
work.
of don't. You don't.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't reckon people will. It's a lot harder.
Well,
You think back to the early 90s, I remember the old afternoon grand finals. People did that. They had the barbecue into the footy, and then everyone had
but when was the last time Origin was on a Sunday?
a couple of years ago.
Sure.
Last year.
Don't think it was last year.
We had a standalone game of football last year. So last year would have been the last time there was a Sunday night footy game.
No, in an Origin game.
Yeah. Yep.
Sunday night last year.
Last year.
Sure.
Yep. Can you
Can you
fact
just
check
check-
that for
check
us,
that
I am going
Timmy?
to check. I'll have an answer on that in a minute.
Check that
Keep
one out.
going. I'm checking that.
But yeah, I think I do like the Sunday game, but I think it probably needs to be brought forward a little bit in the afternoon.
I'd 100% agree with you there.
But it'll be interesting. A new stadium over in Perth. From all reports, it's sold out already.
I was talking to a couple of guys today at work that are pretty keen. They're headed over for the game.
From Queensland.
Yep. From up in Brizzy. I'm just interested to hear how a rugby league game looks on that oval. But
I think it'll be the same as any AFL ground that they play on.
yeah,
And that's a big stadium. It's a big ground.
not as big as the G though, is it?
Not as big as a G, but it's a big AFL ground. As I said a few weeks ago, I went to game last year at the MCG or the year before, and obviously one of the best teams in the world, but terrible place to watch Origin
Yeah.
or watch any rugby league game.
Yeah.
I have a confirmation on that. So game 2 was Sunday, the 24th of June, 2018.
There you go.
I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken.
Big red.
ANZ Stadium, Sydney.
Big red. Plucked it. Well done.
Please. Righto. Enough Origin. Have we covered it? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's
Fittler under pressure. Kevy just the king of mind games. No. All
yeah.
good?
No, I think we're good. I think we've dived into it now. We'll wait and see. Let Sunday night come around and see what happens.
Yeah, righto. Into the bit of NRL, Titans. Probably not a great result, but it certainly wasn't their worst performance on the weekend. Smaller crowd than I thought. Titans Warriors usually attracts a fair crowd, but that 6 o'clock time slot on a Friday is tough.
Yeah.
I know I was still sitting at my desk at 5:15, so
Please. Turn it up.
Scouts honour. I was. So I was never going to make
believe it,
kickoff.
Timmy.
Is at his desk watching footy,
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
the replays.
I think that early game on a Friday, no matter where it is, it's hard for guys to get there. But the Gold Coast there's a lot of Kiwis on the Gold Coast, and
Yeah.
typically that game drags a pretty good crowd.
I normally don't go to it because it's like a Warriors home game. There's usually heaps of them there, but I don't know. We were close. We didn't quite get the chocolates, but we were certainly in that game. Which I'd rather that than some of the efforts we've put up this year. So We did lose Jai Arrow during the game. Probably missed Proctor a little bit cleaning up in the middle. AJ Brimson, I don't know, people probably saw a video of me on Facebook, bit grumpy on Friday night, but he scored a blistering try a minute or so before to keep us in the game, and then bit of a nothing kick right on the death. So unfortunately, you can't really blame him. He's still pretty young, but probably not the finish we needed to that game, but just didn't quite ice it.
How did Ty Roberts play?
Good. Geez, he's kicking well. I don't know what happened against the Cowboys, but Tyron Roberts is kicking really well at the moment. So,
well, it'll be interesting to see what happens because Ash Taylor back at training today.
Back at training, which is good. We said this a couple of weeks ago when he sort of took some time out. One or two things going to happen. You're going to work out that your rugby league's where you want to be, which sounds like he has, or work out that it's not for him. But from all reports, he's gone west, gone home.
Yeah, he's had 2 weeks away. He's had obviously time around his family, but also time back in the real world, helping out family on different
Bit of labouring.
A little bit of labouring in one of his family's businesses. Done various sort of jobs to, I guess, get his head around whether that's what he wants to do or whether he wants to play footy, and he's now worked out that footy is what he wants to do. The club's agreed to welcome him back into the club today, and they're going to put measures around him to help with the psychology and the overall well-being of him moving forward. So.
The comment was made to me over the weekend that potentially have Garth and Mal let him down by letting him get to that point. Like, isn't that what they're there for, to really mentor and coach him and look after him? And
well, yeah, I mean, you have welfare managers and, player support and all that sort of stuff within a club, maybe.
I think if Garth had said to him 2 or 3 weeks before that, hey, pal, go and have a stint for the Bears or for the Seagulls on the weekend and find some form, all that media stuff would have went away, because that's what should have happened. I think the coach...
Well, I mean, we've touched on it before, but this whole mid-season review that Mouth pulled out, to me, that there should be a review every week. That this sort of stuff shouldn't get to a point...
Well, I get that.
And a review can include, the welfare of guys, and obviously Ash has been struggling for quite a few weeks.
Yeah.
A simple, hey, mate, how you going? How's things? What's up?
The old school guys will tell you, toughen up, young fellas these days, but it's very similar to bullying. Like kids that are getting bullied at school in the old days, at least when they got home to their parents, they were safe for 12 hours. But now, kids that are getting bullied at school are getting bullied online and at home as well. Same for a player. If you avoided the papers back in the old days, you were oblivious to what people thought of your footy game. But now it's so easy for people to tell you how rubbish you are, and there's 1,000 of these shows telling people their opinions, which we enjoy doing. But as a player, I'm sure it's a whole different dynamic if all of a sudden the whole country's talking about you. And same as that alleged video that we mentioned the other week, the player that was spoken about as ties to that video, even if he's not in the video, it's clearly had a mental effect on him, and that he's struggling to deal with. There's something going on there.
Well, the whole dynamic.
Don't mention his name.
The whole dynamic of the game and the whole dynamic of a footballer these days. I mean, they're 100% professional.
Yeah.
Their sport has now full-time. Fox Footy is a full-time channel just covering the games, the replays, the shows, the news, the updates, everything else. It's for those guys. It's a 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They've got no way of escaping.
So if you're
footy.
battling, it's pretty hard to get away.
And he, of all people, has obviously signed a massive deal 2 or 3 years ago, had a struggling club, as a young bloke on big money. He's going to feel the pressure, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, he's hoping. Now we see a bit of competition. I think Riley Jacks has done himself
Yeah, he has.
proud. I think Ash is going to have to force him out of that team, and that's probably going to. Surely that's got to come from some Q Cup performances. Then you can't win that spot back on the training paddock, in my opinion.
You wouldn't imagine that he'd go straight back in. Like you say, Riley Jackson's been pretty good the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where too, whether he maybe trains for a couple of weeks and fits back in somehow. I don't know.
What about
Time
this?
will tell.
I was shocked through the week. Boyd to the Titans. I freaked out. I thought, God, no, surely we haven't signed Darius Boyd. But it was a young halfback.
I think young Palm Beach Currumbin, PBC or Keebra Park.
Another local kid, yeah.
Played, schoolboys and a lot of junior rep footy, and apparently got pretty big raps on him. So
that'll be interesting to watch. So he goes straight into the squad. So he's available this year as well.
yeah, so we've now got an abundance of halves.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, you couldn't imagine he'll play this year, but yeah. Fingers crossed that Ash gets back to full health. And
the one that really baffles me is Brennan in the dark on the Peachy scenario. So he's basically said, I'm not having anything to do with that. That's between Peachy and the club. And like he essentially isn't he the one that brought Peachy to the club, and now all of a sudden, if he wants to go home, it's nothing to do with me.
Well, yeah, he is, but I think typically a coach's job is to get the best out of the players that are in the team each week, running out in the field,
yeah,
and ensuring that they play, 100% of their ability. So maybe it's one of those ones where he's put it back on the club and said, "You deal with Peachy's manager, you guys sort it out. I'll worry about the 18, 17 guys that are picked each week and
fair call.
How we're gonna win." But I think that's a foregone conclusion. I can't see Peachy being here past June 30.
Oh, you reckon he's gone this year?
I think it's done and dusted.
They watered it down a little bit and said, yeah, it definitely won't be with us next year, but maybe it won't happen straight away.
Yeah. And for me, and we've touched on it before, but if a bloke doesn't want to be there, let him go. I don't care how good he is.
100%. This brings me, I'm a fan of the transfer window. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I don't mind it. I don't mind that at this time of the year, teams can sort of shuffle around a little bit and go, all right, well, we're not going to make it, so we're going to let this guy go to a club and we're going to bring this guy in and, a bit of a shuffle around. But I would just like it to happen in a short, sharp window. This 6 weeks of speculating over who's going where. So James Roberts, it was no, he's not going. He's not going to South. Next minute he's at South. Peachy. So there's already been talk of that for 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, he's going back to Penrith. I think it should be just a case of, all right, clubs, next week you put your 5 players in that you're ready to get rid of, and everyone, basically it goes into like a mid-season trade window. I think that's a better way. Just get it in and out of the way. It could happen this week. So this dedicated rep week, you could have players moving around in the background, and then once Origin's finished, it's sort of game on again for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I've heard experts talk about clubs that have been hit with injury or maybe struggling a bit, gives them the opportunity to go and pick up a player or two.
100%.
But, in the case of the Bulldogs the other week, picked up with Selesniak from
DWZ.
From Penrith, he's not going to make any difference to them this year. But the reality is next year they can build around him, maybe attract a couple other players.
Yep.
So I guess it's for clubs that are maybe looking forward as well into next year and the year after, sort of building a bit of a team or building a bit of a list back up again. Yeah,
it's because it's this funny scenario, and I heard it talked about on the weekend, that you basically, every time we get a coach change in the NRL, they want to walk into a club and start rearranging the roster. So all the contracts go out the window, and because the coach basically says, if you want to put a performance clause in my contract, well, you need to give me the team that I want. Whereas I think it should be, hey, buddy, you're the coach for the next 2 to 3 years. This is our squad. Make it work. Instead of, you've got Gagai at South not happy. You've got players all over the place that are all this transfer stuff comes from the coaches trying to get rid of blokes out of their squad that they don't think are fitting in with their ideology, which is you've got Seabold, you've got Bennett, you've got Maguire at the Tigers. The only one I can't work out is Brennan.
Well, like you just said earlier, maybe that it brings up that point again about Brennan not knowing what's going on with Peachy.
Yeah.
But then wanting to be front and centre around who we recruit at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And who's on our roster next year and who's running out each week.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
He's the bizarre one because he's been there now 18 months or so. He was the one that enticed that guy to Peachy to the Titans. I'm not sure you can then distance yourself from the fact that he's not happy. But anyway, probably enough for NRL for tonight.
Unless they've had a falling out or there's some sort of barrier between them, maybe.
I go back to what we talked about the other day. I reckon Brennan's too close to a couple of those blokes. Cartwright, Taylor, and Peachy have all under-delivered this year, and all three of them are guys that Brennan either brought to the club or potentially, in Ash's case, I think he had a big bit to do with with Brennan coming to the club. So they're too close. So he can't make the tough call, which is he probably should sit out this week.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Cartwright, and he obviously bought Robertson. I don't know. I mean, Ash has never been at Penrith where he was, and I don't know.
There was definitely a tie. Definitely. Can you fact check that for us, Timmy?
Yep.
Let's move on. That's probably enough NRL. Let's move on to the AFL. I haven't seen you in a Suns jersey in quite a number of weeks now.
No, I actually, although I was away at Morton, I was actually thinking at 3/4 time that I was probably due to bring it out against St Kilda on Saturday afternoon.
I nearly text you.
I mean, they were the better side for certainly the first 3 quarters. St Kilda overran them in the fourth, but yeah, I mean, it's hard, and again, we've spoken about it earlier in these shows, but the Gold Coast is a fickle place, and they need to start winning some games, and they're judged on win and loss, as most clubs are. But I think they've improved this year under the new coach. They've been, all bar one game where they got blown away, they've been competitive most weeks.
Yep.
Naturally, obviously, haven't won for a while, but and that's the bottom line, the win and loss. But I definitely think they've shown signs of improvement. But another couple of wins before the end of the year is certainly required. Outside that, the AFL is a little bit quiet this week. They have a split round as well, so some sides.
What is their mentality there? Like, there's no rep footy.
No, there's not, but it's basically to give guys that, or clubs similar to what we spoke about, clubs that have got injuries, players are a bit sore, gives them an extra week in the middle.
Bit of a refresh.
To then go again for the second half of the year. So half the teams have a bye this week, half of them have a bye next week. So
Yep.
bit of a quiet week in the AFL.
All the talkback radio seems to be about crowd behaviour in the AFL. What's going on?
It's an ongoing issue. Certainly the last probably 6 or 8 weeks, it's been highlighted with 3 or 4 big incidents. And I think now, I mean, the AFL certainly got involved, but I think now the clubs as well are getting involved where they can.
They're alienating their biggest shareholder, the biggest stakeholder, so to speak. The owners of the game, which is the fans, the ones that pay the bills, are the ones that are feeling disgruntled about this whole scenario. I'm all for. There's nothing worse than going to a footy game with your kid and not feeling comfortable sitting in your seat because there's someone carrying on. But if all you're doing is really going hard and cheering for your team, or you're giving the opposition team a spray, I think you can do that as long as you're not being any racist or discriminatory. I think it's game on, isn't it? Isn't that why you go?
Well, yeah, I think there's got to be a line in the sand. I mean, the reality is, and NRL is the same as AFL, but all these clubs are now struggling to get families to go to the games.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the cost of it. It's expensive to take mum, dad, and the 2 kids to a game of footy these days. But when you're battling to get families there, and then this gets added on top of it.
The talk is, though, that the security were just way over the top on the weekend. You right there, mate?
I think I'm dying.
You need a Barocca, mate.
Every Monday he's dying of Monday-itis.
You're looking we have to turn the contrast down. You're looking very red.
Yeah, I think it's just about.
I'm not sure.
You were
Could be all over.
you were starting to look really good, actually. When you go back, I was going over some tape on the weekend. You look starting to look really fit, but then you've come in today and you look very average.
4-day bender will do it to you. But yeah, I think that compounds the fact, and I think the AFL and the clubs want to stamp it out as quick as they can
I get that. That's
to then try and
Yep.
drag the families and the kids back to the games.
The word on the street though is that they're over the top. They're being it's gone too
maybe
far.
a little bit. But as I say, you take your kids and you're sitting in the general, reserved or general seating. You don't know who you're going to be sitting next to or around. So, but it is hard to
They
stomp.
still do
stomp it out.
licensed and unlicensed sections.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, but yeah, it's very hard to.
Why don't they
to stomp
deliver
it out.
pies anymore? I reckon if you bring back pie delivery, you get more people to the footy.
You definitely start going again.
100%. When you go to a baseball and that at in America,
Why don't you get off your seat and walk back out to the bar where they sell the
'Cause
hot
I'll
pies
miss-
and a beer?
because I'll miss the reason that I'm there, which is what to
have
watch
a
the
pie.
football and have a pie.
You don't go there to watch the footy. You
No.
go there for the pies.
Well, I used to, not anymore because they're shit. They don't deliver them.
Fair enough.
You can get a beer and a hot dog delivered in the US. That's all I'm saying. Bring it back. Bring back the blokes. Hot pies, hot pies.
That's one for you, Timmy.
That could be this
Pass
week.
it up the chain to the NRL.
I just
I'll
come up.
start making some calls.
I just got the name for this week's episode. It's called
I can't
Hot
promise
Pies.
anything, but we'll get the wheels in motion.
That's Big Red on the burst this week. Bring back the pie vendor at the footy. Where are
You
we
should
at?
be going to line up for a Caesar salad.
Do you want to get Junior on the phone while we're NRL
Yeah, we
AFL?
can get
or what?
Junior on the phone. He'll be nice and chirpy after a win.
Do you know it's good having Timmy back? I feel so much less pressure on my shoulders to be driving all the dials and doing all the volumes.
So what do we got?
Normally got my
Burleigh?
hand on my knob.
I think we're breathing in the mic a bit. Sorry to
Hello,
our listeners
boys.
at home.
Hey,
Junior,
back in the winner's
How you
circle.
going?
woot woot. So much better on a Monday, not having to worry about who's coming up with $100.
How good? And Tedesco out was a slight concern today.
Did you
Too
did you
good.
remember to put it on, Junior?
Yeah, mate.
And the right
Dylan
team?
Campbell there.
The right
Right
team.
thing.
Good work.
13 plus. It's not hard. It's not hard. How many bets in your life do you reckon you put on and you muck one up?
I'd hate to think.
No, we're all good. We've got 190 in the kitty, boys. It's
Mate,
terrific.
That was all over at half time. Getting the
It's
cue.
pretty painless,
Did
wasn't
it
it?
easy.
So,
Yeah,
good.
and I'm not sure whether you mentioned it last week or not. You certainly mentioned it to me. I can't remember if it was on air or not, but Bergerac at the Ipswich Cup. Did you mention that one
wasn't
last
bad
week?
either. Did we? I can't remember. Did we? Was it on air? I
I'm
don't know.
not sure.
We might have actually. Don't know.
Probably not.
What about Dylan put the mocker on 2 golfers last week? Candlelay and
Patrick
Schnedeker.
Candelay was
But he just got off to a slow start, but he came okay in the last 2 rounds. I think he finished 20th in the end, so it wasn't all bad.
I don't reckon they
Yeah.
troubled the blokes with the letters on the leaderboard.
No, he definitely didn't. They didn't put his name up on the board. That's for sure.
I think Gary Woodland was. He was 60s or 70s.
Yeah,
so
why didn't you find him?
that would have been nice, wouldn't it?
What a
I
story!
thought
What a
maybe
story!
British Open. Yeah, no, good story. Great story.
British Open, you reckon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I reckon that might be our go.
And what do we got this week? What do we 190? What
Well,
do we?
boys, I looked around. So obviously the NRL is the international round with the Origin. Some good games. Lebanon, that'll be a good game. And I see you can't bet on that yet. That's disappointing.
Who have they got?
Lebanon are
Ipswich.
playing. Yeah, they're playing Lebanon are playing Fiji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little
So,
side note:
but I thought
do you know rugby league's illegal in Greece? Did you know that?
Greece.
There are people protesting in Greece so that they can play rugby league. I think
You're kidding.
that's an interesting story that we might try and dig into the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. I wonder who the best Greece football rugby league player ever was. Let's get him on.
Theodore.
That's an outrage. I don't know. It's yeah. Do they
Sorry.
play? They've never played in World Cups or anything. No, obviously not.
It's illegal. They're not allowed.
Yeah, that's no good at all.
So that's the battle that we have sometimes in rugby league is that it's a lot of the countries where we're trying to make a name for rugby league. They don't see the difference between union and league. They just say, well, it's rugby. It's the same thing. So league doesn't actually get recognised in a lot of countries as being a different sport.
It's no good.
Yeah, just
We
a
want
little side
league.
note. Sorry, that derailed the Jaffa.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's
bud.
all right.
Todd Greenberg in here today.
Big Red Greenberg.
Call it something else. I can't stand that bloke. Jeez.
He does all right. He's all right. But this week's all the international boys. So New Zealand, Tonga, Fiji, Lebanon, Samoa, PNG. And I thought we'd with Origin on, we might as well we'll have a little play on the Origin match. So we've got 190 in the kitty. We're going to have $180 at $1.91 with Queensland head to head. I reckon they'll wrap it up.
This guy.
Yes.
They'll wrap it up, boys. I think if there's 7 changes, New South Wales, the short turnaround, got limited time to get all the team together and make that all happen. And Queensland, I think, relatively unchanged with just the 2 front rows. So, yeah.
I'm just worried the Queenslanders are going to be on the piss all week because they already know each other.
It's all right. Blake Ferguson's in the New South Wales side, so they'll be on the piss all week, so we're safe.
So, Junior, one question.
Bacardi Breezes.
We've got 109 in the kitty, but you're only having 180 on them.
We're having $10 on Munster first try at $23.
Hey.
Oh, jeez.
Good one. I think.
Munster, on that field, I don't know who to quote or who wrote, but obviously at Optus Stadium's AFL and cricket field, it's hard to get your bearings on those sidelines. And I just think Munster might find some gaps on those edges early. So I thought at $23,
Beautiful.
We'll have 10 on him at 23, and we'll have 180 on Queensland head-to-head at $1.91.
I like it.
Good, Junior.
Good boy.
We were just talking about the fact that Travojevic and Kotrick are both out of place in the centres. They don't play there for their clubs, so they could struggle defensively. So you're right on the money there. Munster might find a little gap to sneak through.
Yeah, I reckon that. I looked at that. I looked at Hunt as well, but I think Munster might do that. Getting your bearings. I can't believe they didn't play Cody Walker. He plays at the SCG every second weekend. It's very similar, and how you got to kick and get those bearings on sidelines. And
what about Josh Morris? How hard done by is he?
Oh, and no, they haven't said much about it, have they? Since last night. What was the reason? Just form or?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they're panicking, to be honest. I think Fittler's in all sorts.
Big time. So
I like it, Junior. Very good.
Interesting, boys. So, that's what we'll go. Munster first try and Queensland head-to-head.
Cheer 'em home.
I like it.
That's it.
Righto. Well, good news. North Burleigh Nippers, we're going back in the right direction. So cheer on Queensland this week, and hopefully we're talking it up again next week with some serious money in the kitty.
Perfect.
Righto, Junior.
Nice.
Thanks, Junior. When are you coming in to visit?
How about we go next week, after Origin?
Next week we'll see how we go. We might have someone next week.
Someone more important.
Well,
we'll go.
We've got a beer expert, but he's got quite a busy schedule. So we'll work out.
Maybe you should be here for the beer expert.
Yeah.
I don't think I should. I'll be the car will be staying at Reds. I don't know how I'll get home. So no, that's right, boys. Yeah, I'll have to get in and come in for the show.
We'll get producer Timmy to work out everyone's schedules there and get back to you.
Perfect. Sounds good. Have a good week, boys.
See you,
Thanks,
mate.
Junior.
See you, Red.
Bye.
No, I'm staying.
Oh, I thought you were going too.
Dickhead.
There you go. We're on the Maroons. That's better than cheering for New South Wales.
It is good. I was worried he's going to make that bet. It just makes me that extra bit nervous. I get so tense watching an Origin game. I don't know why.
No, we'll be right.
I usually wake up a bit sore.
Hopefully they'll win. I think they'll win.
What about, let's rip into some golf. Big
Golf,
day.
yeah. The final round of the US Open this morning. So Gary Woodland, overnight leader, pretty much led from go to woe. Pretty cool story. Actually went to college in the States to play basketball.
Yep.
Got there after a couple of games and realised it was next level.
It was too short, too slow.
I don't think it was too short. Just, that college basketball, the level required at those, especially at the good colleges.
Yep.
He realised pretty early he wasn't up to it. Then decided to focus on his golf, and here we are now. He's a US Open champion. So
Held off some big names too,
He
coming
did.
at him hard
He
today.
did. He had Brooks Koepka on his tail. Obviously, Justin Rose.
Yeah, obviously, Beers and Banter favourite Adam Scott was.
Scotty was there for
he
a
had
bit.
He had a good run today. I was trying to
he
keep track
did.
of it.
He got to
I watched his
probably after the 12th, where he was 6 under for the round. He actually legitimately looked like two or three more birdies in the last 6 or 7 holes. He could have sat in the clubhouse and felt reasonably comfortable.
I think I saw his approach at the ninth, and he was just begging it to carry. It was a nice shot, really nice at the pin.
And just one very unusual shot for him. Hit it out of bounds off the tee on 13, which is a mile right. Just out of the blue. I'm not sure where that shot came from, but that sort of stopped his momentum. And then a couple of missed putts on 16 and 17. Finished 7th, but it was probably one of those ones that should have been 3rd, possibly 2nd.
Still continues a good run at the majors this year. Is he, other than Koepka, is he the most consistent this year already? Do you think in the big ones? Who else?
Patrick Cantlay's been, he led the Masters with 3 holes to go. He was right there at the PGA and finished 20th this week.
Scotty's been in the top 5 or 6 for all of them, though.
I think maybe even top 10. No, he might not have been in top 10 at Augusta, but yeah, he's having a good year. Without ultimately those guys, when you get to that level, it's all about winning.
How does he play at the Open? Sort of got a small investment.
He led. He should have won it. A few years ago, he was 4 in front with 4 to go, and
may have made a small investment. So I'm hoping he does well at the British Open.
Yeah, so that's only that'll be a month away now. So 4 weeks in between. So yeah, the British Open. He'll be a chance. It's in Ireland this year, so it's actually at Rory McIlroy's home course. So I would imagine he'll be a warm favourite there. But
He'll have a fair crack at it.
yeah, so that was a good story. Brooks Koepka 2nd again. It's just phenomenal, his run in the majors.
How's the rough at that? He had a couple of shockers trying to hit out of the rough. That's not your average rough, people. It was about a foot high.
No, it's not. And that course all year round is it's obviously renowned as one of the most beautiful courses in the world, but typically the rough is not up around there. And they obviously, being holding the US Open, they would have known sort of 3 years in advance.
So where is that course? Is that in California?
Pebble Beach, yeah, California.
Yep. For some reason, I always had it pictured in my head. It was over on
It's down the Monterey Peninsula there. Beautiful part of the world, and obviously the 18th hole is one of the most famous holes in the world, sort of around the bay. So
yeah.
So yeah, that's it. That's 3 majors done, with obviously the British Open to come, the last one of the year. So.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so that's it. That was it for the golf.
Cricket.
World Cup
We've
keeps
had
pushing on.
Finch on fire, and Warner's goes big without going kaboom. He's changed his game.
You've been waiting to say that,
I
haven't you?
have. It's almost like I wrote it down.
Yeah, look, Australia, I actually watched a bit of that over on the island on the weekend. The positive sign for me is that they're winning without. I'm not convinced that they've hit top straps yet.
Yeah.
I think they've still got a bit of improvement, which is a good sign. I know you bagged the bowlers last week, but
I didn't bag him. I'm just worried about our depth.
you bagged the bowlers last week.
Has Nathan Lyon got a run yet?
Don't believe he played on the weekend, no.
It baffles me.
In fact, I think they played 4 farts. I don't think they played a spinner on the weekend.
4 farts.
4 fasts.
Definitely sounded like farts.
Definitely. We're going to have to play that back.
Play that
4
back.
farts. But the bowling was good.
Very highbrow stuff here. Beers and Banter.
Mitchell Stark was very good early.
So that the top 4 teams have broken away as suspected, and I think what are we 3-1 at the moment?
3-1, yeah. I mean, the big one for us is going to be New Zealand. I think in another 3 weeks, maybe we play New Zealand
3 weeks
towards the end. Well, you play 10 matches or 9 matches.
9. Yeah, you're righto.
So I think we play them 8th. So that'll be, I think that'll be the big game that both sides are focusing on or looking forward to. So
Very good.
But yeah, I think we're definitely the team to beat at this stage.
Hey, through the week, I just want to throw some numbers at you. the Forbes rich list for 2019 come out. Floyd Mayweather no longer atop the list. Lionel Messi, $127 million a year. It's not bad, eh? For a bit of kickball.
Pocket change. Where'd you fit in?
I think I didn't quite make the top 100, I don't think, but
Just outside.
Just outside. I'm going to rattle off the top 10. Cristiano Ronaldo, number 2, $109 million. Neymar, $105 million. So that soccer game must be catching on, eh? The top 3 highest paid athletes.
It sounds like there's a few people that actually watch the game. Maybe you could look into covering.
Talking about it
Yeah,
from time
maybe.
to time.
I don't know.
Something to think about.
Number 4, Canelo Alvarez, $94 million. So that's a boxer, in case you didn't know. Federer, the Fed Express, $93.4 million. Number 6, Russell Wilson. Do you know what he does, Timmy?
Is that not Russell Coyd?
Similar.
Same first name. You got
Yeah.
Yeah, close.
50% right.
Yep.
So the next 2 blokes are both quarterbacks in the NFL. You've got Russell Wilson at the Seahawks and Aaron Rodgers at the Packers.
Should have got that.
Both at about $89.5 and $89.3 million. And then we've got the King, LeBron, at number 8, $89 million. Steph Curry, $79.8 million. And Kevin Durant, $65.4 million.
So moral of the story is soccer,
Mind-boggling.
NFL, or basketball. Get your kids into it.
Yeah, true story. I'm going to write that down. Kids.
So was that LeBron was the highest NBA player?
Yes. Yep.
And
But the NFL guys are more. So obviously, no baseballers on the top 10. That's interesting.
does that just include, like for Federer, for example, is that just prize money or is that?
I think it includes.
Sponsorship
I think
as
it
well.
includes a lot. I think it's total earnings.
Yeah, it'd have to be. He couldn't. There's no way he'd make $90 million in prize money in a year.
Talk about some of these dudes got their own shoes and whatnot. Oh, we didn't cover it. We put the mocker on the Warriors as well. The unbeatable team went down to the Raptors.
Unbelievable. I mean, awesome for Toronto.
Yeah, good. Probably a good result for the NBA.
The first championship for that franchise. I think, in all honesty, they caught Golden State, A, with a couple of injuries, B, maybe out of form a little bit. They probably got him at the right time. Steph Curry certainly wasn't as good as he normally is in the finals.
Not the Steph Curry that we're used to.
And obviously the big injuries, and Bogut was a little bit quiet, I thought, towards the end of the year, and especially in that final series. So all credit to Toronto. They they didn't back down that whole series. And
Is it Lowry, their main guy? Are they going to be able to
Leonard.
hold on to him?
Leonard.
Sorry, Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, I would imagine they'll be able to keep him now. They've got a fairly young list as far as playing together, so they're going to be competitive again next year, certainly.
Yeah, righto. Well, another prediction that we ballsed up.
And I think Golden State. They've had a phenomenal run.
Could be the end of the dynasty, though.
Maybe that might be the sign that they're sort of on the way.
They're going to lose
Yeah, a little
KD
bit.
and maybe someone. I can't remember who the other bloke
Well,
was.
Durant's done his Achilles, so I don't know where that sits, but he'd
Well,
have
that's
to be
6 months before you even walking properly, isn't it?
he'd have to be close to finishing up anyway.
But
Curry's not done, but he's getting on a bit. Klay Thompson's getting on a little bit. Not sure that Bogut will go around again next year, so they'll certainly be a different team next year, and we might see a few new teams up there, which would be good.
Good stuff. We've been waffling a little bit. But a couple of things I still want to talk about. Surfing at the Olympics. What do you think?
I don't have an issue with it. As I said off air, the one for me, and obviously with the golf background, but golf came in the last Olympics. For me, the Olympics was always about an amateur sport, and I'm a big one. I believe that in the golf they should imagine a young Australian kid up there playing for a gold medal.
So you think the golfing should be only guys that don't have their professional card, so the amateurs only?
Amateurs only.
I think the Dream Team ruined that. since the Dream Team played in the basketball, it's been game on.
Yeah.
And most of the top line Olympic events, they'd all be professional.
They are now, certainly.
Maybe not the high jumpers, or they probably are. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a sport that wouldn't be. I remember I used to know a bloke that was captain of the Kookaburras. He worked with us at Clipsal.
Yeah.
So a lot of those guys have still got day jobs. So it's a weird mix when you get into that. Imagine walking into the athletes' village and you got Kevin Durant on $70 million a year, and then you've got old mate that's working 2 jobs and
Well, that's always been an ongoing discussion, and even the swimmers. These swimmers are fairly well known in Australia, and they're not
to the point where I think the Americans, they didn't stay in the.
No, I don't think they do.
In the village. I remember Bogut whinging about the mattresses and stuff when he got into the village. But the Americans, they like rented a cruise ship for Rio, so they weren't even staying with everybody else.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, it's maybe that's what makes the Olympics that whole mix of different athletes. And
the only thing that worries me, I don't like sports at the Olympics that are judged.
Well,
So gymnastics, dancing, ice skating, all those ones where it's like you've got some corrupt judge putting up like a 9.5 from
it says Russia under
from
their flag.
Uzbekistan. Like, please, I don't know. I think sport, it's like there should be a definitive answer. That person was the best runner on the day because they first passed the post, or that team scored more goals than the other team. But when it's like subjective and you're like, oh, that guy was the better surfer on the day, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, surfing's certainly a world sport now.
Yeah, it's good. I think I'm stoked for surfing. I just find.
I mean, the only thing it probably limits the countries that can actually hold the Olympics, doesn't it?
Well, it depends. They might all have to build a Kelly Slater wave pool.
Maybe.
What are they doing for Tokyo? It could be flat for the week.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Just no waves. Just
Tim
surf
will
the
look
flow.
into that for us next week. Science update. You might have noticed something in the background, Dylan.
I did. I noticed something in the background. What is that?
Timmy collimated my telescope for me before the episode. Sounds
Don't
sexual, I
Google
know,
that.
but it's
Yeah.
not. Promise.
Is that what you call it?
That's what you walked in on. That's what it was.
Stroking his telescope.
So you've joined the ranks of the amateur astronomer,
Yeah.
Andy.
So
How was your first experience?
very average. I was trying to track Jupiter last week.
And he didn't take the lens cap off.
That normally helps. And you got to take it out of the garage too.
What?
Yeah.
No,
The roof above?
I opened the manhole and then kicked a tile and I was shooting it straight out. Just didn't know why I couldn't see anything.
Jupiter. So Jupiter was at its closest
This is what I was trying to do.
on the
right.
12th, closest for 2019.
So
you missed it.
Really?
if I miss my window,
Yeah.
surely it's still fairly
It's
close
fine.
though, right?
It's close enough.
It's not
yeah.
like rapidly moving away. Probably
Still
another.
good to go.
Yeah, right.
Might be something for you tonight.
Get on board, mate. There's a whole universe out there. The Earth's not flat, you know.
Apparently.
Well, I've got Brian Cox this Wednesday night.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Is he coming on the podcast?
It's not confirmed, but I'm talking to his management, and
Yeah, good.
so we're talking at a higher level at this stage. But
Maybe do a live, if possible. Can you do a live?
actually,
cross from
I'm
the
in
show?
the section. I am in the section that's allowed to ask questions at the end.
Oh, beers and Banter.
So
Hi, it's
maybe,
Tim from Beers and
I'll
Banter
just
here.
hold the mic up.
Please explain. I love it.
Where's he at, mate? What's the go there? Brisbane?
He is at the
Convention
Brisbane
Centre.
Convention Centre. So that's the one I was chatting about the other week, where he's got the. He basically comes across with these screens, fills the whole back.
It's like 16K.
Yeah, 16K.
So you're talking about
resolution.
4K sports channels before? Brian Cox brings these 16K screens.
So, for everyone that doesn't know who Brian Cox is, what's he?
So he's a particle physicist at CERN, the Large Hadron Kaleidoscope.
You can see the little mouse inside his head just spinning its track. So
I can
So
just think
he's a
how good
particle
sleep
physicist.
I'd
So
have if I got
he's
that
actually
chat.
so what he's going to come and have a chat about the black holes and the universe.
Be
And,
awesome.
yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
I
Take-
like it.
Take a pillow.
I'm a
Yeah,
fan.
It's
Aaron-
Wednesday night.
Aaron
That's what I'll be
asked
doing
that.
on Wednesday night.
We might do a full pod about that. Sans Dylan.
Mm.
About the what?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about
When he's sick.
talking of
Make sure I'm away.
Yeah.
talking of astronomy? I'm thinking about getting some of those astronaut nappies so I can watch more sport. I was talking to Blake last week. Reckons he knew a guy that was a professional gamer. That his missus used to bring him food while he was gaming, but sort of things went south when she found out he was wearing a nappy while he was
They
gaming.
could be handy on a long trip. To Sydney.
These podcasts, it'll be good.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you see if we can get
I'll look into that.
Look, find eBay maybe.
Wonder if they were one size fits all.
Righto.
Next.
I think that's just about it. I'm thinking about this for a marketing strategy though. You know, remember that streaker from the Champions League the other week?
Oh, this will be good.
I don't think you should streak.
Yeah, no, let's paint him up.
So it comes out that was quite a strategic manoeuvre. Everyone, obviously, they were doing it for publicity, but he weighed it up. Basically, the fine cost $24,000, but it was the exposure that the guy got was worth some phenomenal amount of money. So his memberships are $9.99 a month. He made millions of dollars
Was
off
this
that.
the lady that did it at the...
Yeah, the lady in the swimsuit that streaked at the soccer. So they paid the bill of 24 grand, but it was a lot cheaper than paying for advertising during the game. So I'm just thinking one of us three should probably...
Definitely not you. I don't think any of us should probably do it.
I don't know.
She was sort of a bit better looking than you are.
Please. Well, it just about wraps me up. That's all I got in the notebook this week.
That's it. That's a wrap.
What do you got, Timmy? You all good?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, righto. All the socials, you can follow us at Beers and Banter. Please engage with us on the socials. We've got a shout out we've got some followers have been
No, we've already given that out to Broogie, and
righto.
he was toasting you about your origin selection.
Yeah, thanks, Broogie. Keep it coming. Obviously know nothing about footy, but anyway. No, we appreciate the support, everyone. Every time you share our show, it makes a huge difference. So thank you all, and we'll see you all again next week.
Over and out.